Here's something that might surprise you. You don't need to find extra time to protect your joints. You already have it. It's the couple of minutes your kettle takes to boil. It's the 2 minutes you'll spend brushing your teeth tonight. It's the moment you stand up from your favorite chair, something you're going to do anyway, dozens of times today. In a minute, I'm going to show you 6 gentle movements that don't ask you to carve out a workout, no mats, no gym, no appointment with yourself. You'll quietly cancel next week. Instead, they attach to moments you're already living through, so you barely have to remember to do them. And by the 6th one, you'll know the exact movement the CDC itself recommends, specifically because it protects your joints and your balance at the same time. Here's why this actually works, and not just as a nice idea. Cartilage, the smooth cushion at the end of your bones, doesn't have its own blood supply. It gets its nutrients from synovial fluid, and that fluid only circulates properly when the joint moves. Stay still too long, and a sore joint gets less of what it needs, which is part of why stiffness so often gets worse with rest, not better. Doctors sometimes put it simply, motion is lotion for your joints. This matters for a lot of us. Nearly half of adults over 65 live with some form of arthritis, according to the CDC. But here's the part most exercise videos skip. The reason so many well-intentioned routines don't stick usually isn't that they don't work. It's that they ask you to find a new block of time in a day that's already full. So instead, every exercise today rides on top of something you're already doing. You won't need to remember a separate routine. You'll just need to notice the moments you already have. Quick pause before we get into number 1. If joint pain is something you deal with, hit like. It helps this reach someone else dealing with it too. And subscribe. We cover ways to move and feel better like this every week. Number 1. Your wake-up warm-up, and it happens before your feet even hit the floor. While you're still lying in bed or sitting on the edge of it, move each joint through its full natural range. Circle your wrists, circle your ankles, roll your shoulders slowly, and open your hand fully before closing it into a loose fist. The Arthritis Foundation recommends this kind of movement first thing in the morning because that synovial fluid we just talked about barely circulates while you sleep. 10 slow repetitions of each movement, about 5 minutes total, is the anchor. And this is one exercise that doesn't need to get harder over time. The goal is just showing up for it every morning, not increasing difficulty. The mistake almost everyone makes here is forcing the stretch to feel like something, pushing past a comfortable range because it doesn't feel like it's working yet. It doesn't need to. The second mistake is skipping it entirely on the mornings you feel the stiffest, which is exactly when it matters most. Just make the circles smaller on those days. Don't skip them. Beyond loosening the joint itself, this kind of gentle movement also tends to ease the mild swelling some people notice in their hands and ankles overnight. You'll know you're doing this right when you feel the joint loosen, not strain. Do this before you even leave the bed, and everything else on this list gets easier. Number 2, isometric quad sets, and this is the one with the clearest research behind it for knee pain specifically. In a 16-week clinical study of people with knee osteoarthritis, this single exercise reduced pain by about 27%, eased stiffness by close to 14%, and improved daily function by nearly 16%, without the knee ever bending or moving at all. Here's the moment to attach it to. The next time you sit down to watch something, do this during the opening titles. Sit with one leg extended in front of you and tighten the muscle on top of your thigh, as if you're pressing the back of your knee flat against the chair or floor. Start by holding for a slow count of 5, then release and repeat 10 times per leg. After a week or two of that feeling comfortable, stretch the hold to a slow count of 10. The most common mistake is holding your breath during the hold, which spikes your blood pressure for no reason. Breathe normally through it instead. The second mistake is arching your lower back to try to press harder. Keep your spine neutral and let the effort come from the thigh alone. Once 10 reps at a 10-second hold feels genuinely easy, doing a second full set or working both legs back to back instead of resting between them is the natural next step. You'll know it's working when you feel the muscle burn a little on top of the thigh, with nothing happening in the knee joint itself. Number 3, the sit to stand. And this is the one that doesn't need a separate moment at all, because you already stand up from a chair dozens of times a day. Research on frail older adults found that practicing this movement with intention, just a few times a week, meaningfully increased the strength of the muscles that straighten your knee in as little as 4 weeks. That's the strength that makes standing up stop feeling risky in the first place. How to do it. Sit toward the front of a sturdy chair, lean your chest slightly forward first, then press up through your feet to standing, using the armrests for support only if you need them. Lower back down slowly instead of dropping into the seat. The mistake most people make is leaning back and trying to push up from there, which asks your knees to do far more work than they should. Lean forward first, every time. The second mistake is using a fast, rocking swing to launch out of the chair instead of a slow, controlled press. Momentum ends up doing the work your muscles are supposed to be doing. Start by doing this with intention just 5 times a day, anytime you'd be standing up anyway. And once that feels genuinely easy, try a set without using your hands on the armrests at all. The exact same movement, meaningfully harder. It's also worth knowing this is the same basic motion behind getting out of a car or up from a low seat, so the strength you build here carries directly into moments outside of practice. Number 4, wall push-ups. And the moment to attach this one to is right in your kitchen, while the kettle boils or the coffee brews. The Arthritis Foundation lists this kind of strengthening work as one of the 3 pillars of joint-friendly exercise, and doing it against a wall instead of the floor removes most of the body weight your shoulders and wrists would otherwise have to support. How to do it? Stand about 2 feet from a wall, place your palms flat at shoulder height, and slowly bend your elbows to lean in, then push back to standing. Start with 5 repetitions if that's genuinely what feels manageable, and add 1 or 2 more each week until you reach 10 to 15, timed to however long your coffee takes. The mistake to avoid is rushing the movement and letting your elbows lock hard at the top of each rep. Keep it slow and stop just short of locking out. The second mistake is letting your elbows flare straight out to the sides. Keep them at a slight angle toward your body instead. It protects the shoulder joint. Once 15 repetitions 2 feet from the wall feels easy, standing a little farther back increases the challenge without changing the movement at all. You'll know it's working when your arms feel pleasantly tired by the time your drink is ready, not when anything in your shoulder feels sharp. Number 5. Hand and finger stretches, especially important because the hands are one of the most common places arthritis settles in. Attach this one to a moment you already spend waiting on hold on the phone during a commercial break or while something's in the microwave. Open your hand fully, spreading your fingers as wide as is comfortable. Hold for a few seconds, then slowly close it into a loose fist without squeezing. Repeat 10 times per hand. The mistake here is closing the fist tightly, as if you're gripping something, which is the opposite of what this movement is for. Keep it loose, keep it slow. This one keeps the smaller joints in your hands moving through the same range of motion principle as exercise number 1, and because it takes almost no space and no attention away from whatever you're doing, it's the easiest of the 6 to actually keep up with. Beyond mobility, keeping this kind of movement regular is linked to the everyday grip strength that lets you open a jar or turn a doorknob without a second thought. And number 6, the one I promised you earlier, a simple weight-shifting movement borrowed from Tai Chi, and the natural moment to attach it to is the 2 minutes you already spend brushing your teeth. This particular movement is inspired by Tai Chi, and the Arthritis Foundation's own Tai Chi program has real research behind it. In the largest study of that program, over 300 participants saw real, measurable improvements in balance, alongside modest gains in pain and stiffness. How to do it? Stand near the counter for support if you'd like it, and slowly shift your weight from one foot to the other, bending each knee gently as you go, like a slow-motion march in place. Start with 30 seconds if 2 minutes feels like a lot on the first try. There's no rush to get to the full length. The mistake most people make is rushing it, treating it like marching in place instead of a slow, deliberate shift. Slower is the entire point. The second mistake is locking the front knee completely at the end of each shift. Keep a soft bend in both knees the whole way through. Once 2 full minutes feels comfortable and steady, some balance programs progress to doing the same slow shift with your eyes closed for a few seconds at a time, always near something sturdy to hold if needed. It asks your body to balance without leaning on your eyes at all. Brushing your teeth like you always do, just slower underneath it, is enough to start building the balance and joint control this program is built around. One thing worth repeating before we close: across all 6 of these, there's a real difference between the ordinary, dull tiredness of a muscle that isn't used to working, which usually fades within a day, and sharp, specific pain in the joint itself, which means something needs rest instead. If you're ever unsure which one you're feeling, stop and check with your doctor rather than pushing through. That one distinction matters more than getting any single exercise perfectly right. So there you have it, a wake-up warm-up, isometric quad sets during your show, sit-to-stands you were already doing anyway, wall push-ups while your coffee brews, hand stretches while you wait on hold, and a Tai Chi-inspired weight shift while you brush your teeth. 6 ways to move that attach to a day you're already living, not one you have to rearrange. Pick just one to start tonight. If you want the other side of this, what to eat for joint pain, we made a video on the everyday foods that help calm inflammation from the inside. I'll link it right here. Which moment in your day will you attach one of these to? Tell me in the comments. I read every one. And if this helped, subscribe and join our community, where every week we share simple, science-backed ways to move and feel healthier at any age. Take care of yourself, and I'll see you in the next one. This video is for general educational purposes only and is not medical advice. Before starting or changing any exercise routine, especially if you have arthritis, a recent joint injury or surgery, or a condition affecting your balance, please talk to your doctor or a physical therapist first. Stop any exercise immediately if you feel sharp or worsening pain, dizziness, or shortness of breath, and always use a sturdy chair or wall for support if you feel unsteady.